Hi everyone, welcome to Token Topics. We are one step closer to full crypto regulation here in the United States. We're going to go over some recent bills that were passed. Also, trillions of dollars are ready to pour in, and that's an exciting thing to hear. I'm going to go over that topic as well. And the world is adopting CBDC technology. We're going to take a look and see what's going on in other parts of the world. If you're a blockchain or crypto fan, you don't want to miss this video. With that out of the way, let's dive in. There was a major victory for the United States in the blockchain industry, and sigh of relief was heard throughout the whole world. Congressman Tom Emmer's nonpartisan bill, the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, was passed. Now, there still is a long way to go, but this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Working on this legislation for the past 4 Congresses, and I'd like to thank my friend Darren Soto from Florida for co-leading this effort with us. The bill is simple. It codifies long-standing guidance from the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network within Treasury, FinCEN, on how the money transmission framework applies to the decentralized blockchain space. The money transmission licensing framework in the United States is a state-by-state framework requiring more than 50 state and territorial licenses, as well as federal registration with FinCEN. Of course, money transmission licensing laws are designed to protect consumers from the risk of loss of assets, a risk presented when transmitters, money transmitters, and other intermediaries actually take control of consumer funds. However, with state regulations varying on what type of blockchain-related entities qualify as money transmitters, major discrepancies in the state-by-state framework create uncertainty for providers who never have custody of consumer funds and, in fact, even provide extra layers of protection for the very consumers that money transmitter laws are designed to protect. To provide a solution, the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act codifies existing FinCEN guidance to affirm that non-custodial blockchain developers and service providers, like miners, validators, and wallet providers, that never custody consumer funds do not have to register as a money transmitter. This guidance was published in 2013 under the Obama administration. It was republished in 2019 under the Trump administration, and it remains the guidance FinCEN follows today under the Biden administration.
I'd like to thank the member for his leadership on this bill, this bipartisan bill between he and Mr. Soto. When the infrastructure bill passed last Congress, I think all of us heard from market participants about the overly broad language and how it can impact blockchain technology generally. But let's go back in time. From the moment my colleague came to Congress, he was a committed advocate for a smart regulatory pathway for digital assets. He's an OG to this space, and has been, since I've known him, even before being a member of Congress, he's been a leader in this space. We are at the culmination of years of work that he has been about in a piece of legislation that is a culmination of his work. Others have joined along the way. Mr. Davidson certainly has. Mr. Hill, Ms. Waters, but I know the OG in this space is Tom Emmer, and I want to thank you for your leadership, not just on the market structure bill and this important bill, but generally speaking for digital assets. Thank you for yielding the time, and
thank you, and I yield back.
More good news for crypto holders in the United States as U.S. House Financial Services Committee passes a bill protecting crypto self-custody. It's been a very busy week, and a lot of groundwork is finally being laid in the United States. But like I said, we still got some ways to go. The legislation is set to protect the self-custody of digital assets in the United States and what could be a landmark development for the industry. Named the Keep Your Coins Act of 2023, the legislation was brought forth by Republican Congressman Warren Davidson. Moreover, H.R. 4841 ensures that investors are able to maintain custody of their own cryptocurrency in their own wallets. It's just been nothing but good news. Now, I'd like to go over this article so we have a better understanding of what's going on with this bill that was just passed. So, U.S. Congressional Committee approves crypto bill for regulation. In the United States, lobbyists and investors in the crypto sector have been advocating for increased regulatory clarity. Their efforts seem to be paying off as a proposed bill led by Republicans has received approval from House Financial Service Committee with a vote of 35 to 15. The bill approved by the House Financial Service Committee aims to establish clear criteria for categorizing crypto assets as either securities or commodities. Additionally, it seeks to enhance the Commodities Future Trading Commission's or CFTC's regulatory authority over the crypto industry and provide more clarity on its jurisdictions of the SEC. This specifically targets a concern expressed by numerous crypto advocates regarding the regulator's perceived outreach. So here we have it. The bill seeks to foster collaboration between both agencies, the CFTC and the SEC, by mandatory involvement for the SEC and CFTC to engage in joint rulemaking. Furthermore, it mandates studies on a range of topics, including non-fungible tokens and decentralized finance. Of course, there is some pushback from both sides, but the thing is that a lot of people seem to be on board with this, so that is very good news. So that gives us a better understanding of what the bill was and what it's going to do. Regulation by enforcement is a horrible approach to regulate the crypto market. It is a failed experiment, and it is an experiment. If we've learned anything from this experiment, is that it is not the way to regulate the crypto industry. This is affecting the whole world, not just the United States. Now, this one main bill that's being passed to help balance the power between the SEC and the CFTC is much needed. Now, Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong also got involved this past week. Coinbase is a major exchange in the US, and he also wanted people to get involved. Now, I think most people in the world that are involved in crypto, they know about the lack of regulatory certainty, the lack of regulatory frameworks here in the United States. And actually, it's been an advantage to a lot of other nations to be able to prosper and grow in this whole new asset class here while people are lagging behind the United States. That's not to say that we're not going to get on board. And after seeing, especially this past week, seeing these bills getting passed and people talking about crypto and blockchain technology, that is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, I'd like to play this clip so we can see all these different aspects and what's going on right now currently, what could be going on, the things that we're facing, and the overall crypto market outlook here in the United States.
The SEC's lawsuits against Binance, Coinbase, and other platforms for not registering properly as securities exchanges, regulators, there's at least a perception that they're unfriendly to crypto in the United States. According to our next guest, other countries are rolling out the welcome mat for crypto, with players in Japan, Hong Kong, and Europe making an effort for crypto to be able to operate in their countries. Joining us now, Emily Parker, CoinDesk Executive Director of Global Content. Emily, you know, a casual observer would say, yikes, FTX, you know, there are some things going on, Binance, we need some regulation. But then I think the Coinbase suit, that almost seemed gratuitous. And even a reasonable person would say, all right, something's happening here that just goes beyond trying to protect investors. Have I got that? Is that a legitimate viewpoint?
Well, you know, it's funny. If you go to the SEC website, there are so many different cases. So it's not just Coinbase. I mean, they've been charging so many different companies. Now, I think the issue here is not so much whether it's gratuitous or not gratuitous. It's about the lack of clarity. Like, this is something that crypto advocates have been complaining about for years, this concept of regulation by enforcement, which is that a lot of the regulatory decisions are being played out in court, as opposed to actually having a framework where people know what they can and cannot do. Now, all these lawsuits are kind of different. You know, the SEC is accusing Binance of very different things that they're accusing Coinbase of. But I think, you know, if we look at Ripple, for example, you know, Ripple, there was just a partial victory in that case, and Ripple's been fighting that for years. And, you know, again, it would have been better if there had been some sort of clarity from the outset that didn't leave these issues to be decided in courts, because not every company has the time and resources to do that.
Do we want to be the global leader? Because if we do, you point out Hong Kong, Singapore, there are places that seem to be putting out a welcome mat And we're not. Can we actually lose our ability to lead the world? And would that be a negative for the United States?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. I think if you ask the SEC, I don't think they're that concerned about, or at least Gary Gensler doesn't seem particularly concerned about crypto projects leaving the United States. But yes, the issue is that even if the SEC were to continue its current approach, which I think most people agree is relative, or most people in the crypto industry agree is relatively inefficient, there's now a lot of other places for crypto projects to go. So Dubai, Singapore, we've been hearing about these places for years, but there's kind of new players in town or revived players in town. As you mentioned, Japan is one example. Japan, and let's be clear here, Japan is very strict. It is not an easy place to do crypto business, but it's very clear. And so Japan kind of had a victory of its own when FTX collapsed and people all over the world were really worrying about it. Japan was very calm because FTX Japan was one of the only places that were able to give money back to their users. And this was a victory for Japanese regulation, which prevents commingling of assets, basically. There's separation of assets. So, an exchange can't just like dip into the fund, into customer funds and do what they want with it. Japan also has very strict rules about, how crypto is stored. Majority of crypto on exchanges needs to be stored in something called wallets, which is a more secure form. So it's very strict. It's not easy, but it's allowed for protection of investors. Hong Kong also quite recently has been rolling out a new licensing regime for exchanges. Europe now, 27 member states will have a licensing regime for crypto firms. So again, what's interesting about this is these are not Wild West jurisdictions. These are jurisdictions with very clear, very difficult requirements, but I think for some projects, they'd still rather deal with that rather than make a mistake and spend years and millions of dollars fighting it out in a court. Crypto is here. And as we saw, some of the crypto exchanges that have done great damage, for example, FTX, was not even in the US. That doesn't mean that it can't hurt US investors. So yes, I think you could make the argument that, you can't just sort of turn your back on this. Another interesting data point is that Bitcoin is up, I think, over 80% since the beginning of the year, despite the string of SEC lawsuits, which again is another data point that shows that the U.S. is not entirely calling the shots here. If the U.S. cracks down on crypto, and we're hearing a lot of stories about crypto projects avoiding the U.S. entirely, it's not stopping people from investing in Bitcoin.
Let's focus on the money that's getting ready to flood the crypto market. Trillions and trillions of dollars is getting ready to pour in to this new asset class. Now, if you've been subscribed to the channel, you know these projects that are leading to tokenization in real world. Now I'd like to show you this clip tweeted out by Mr. Man XRP, who I highly suggest that you follow. He also has a YouTube channel you can check out.
Of understanding to establish our digital asset custodian, called Zodia, here in the DIFC. Now, 5 years ago, we weren't talking about a digital asset custodian in Standard Chartered Bank.
How big can that be, Bill? This is becoming a hub for crypto. It's very, very clear it's an ambition. So from an MOU to dollars, tell me what it can be.
So we have Zodia is our digital asset custodian, and I do make the distinction between digital assets and crypto.
Okay.
So today, crypto is the bulk of what is digital assets today. When we look forward 5 or 10 years from now, I think we'll find vast swathes of the financial architecture that has been tokenized. That could include central bank digital currencies, which of course exist to some extent so far, but they're quite small at this point. Stable coins, tokenized real assets, whether it's, Jenny talks about effectively the digitization or tokenization of money market funds, right? These are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that could find themselves in tokenized form. And there's an underlying infrastructure that's different for distributed ledger technology relative to the current state of play. And to the extent that Dubai or anyone else can get ahead of the game and make sure that infrastructure is embedded in the local infrastructure, but also regulated from here, gives you a huge head start in terms of building that industry over time.
Seeing a clip like that is very exciting. Now, that was from the Dubai FinTech Summit, which Brad Garlinghouse attended, and there was a lot of different heads from all around the world that is heavily involved with blockchain. Remember, in order for any of this to work, there has to be interoperability. I'm sure most of you already know, or if you're just coming into the blockchain arena, there are other nations that are working on distributive ledger technology as we speak. Russia has announced plans for a digital ruble. India is working on a digital rupee. China has a digital yuan. The United States is going to most likely be working on a digital dollar here soon. But when you come to a point of all these different countries creating even their own faster payments or whatever, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to be on the same playing field. And that's why I think that BRICS nations, as far as G20, everybody, they're going to come to an agreement where there's going to be a main bridge asset or a basket of them, a few of them, that are going to be the main ones that are going to bridge and flow the money all around the world. Nothing will stop this technology and innovation from moving forward. The whole world is changing right before our very eyes, and we have countries like Namibia making powerful moves greater than the United States and moving along more swiftly. Check this out. Exciting times are ahead for the digital asset ecosystem in Namibia. Namibia government has recently ushered in a Virtual Assets Act of 2023, a transformative piece of legislation designed to regulate and license virtual asset service providers. This strategic move signals Namibia's intent to foster a secure, well-regulated, innovative environment for virtual asset activities. The Act introduces a clear and comprehensive licensing framework categorizing services from token issuance, broker-dealer activities, marketplace operations, wallet services, and custodian services to advisory roles. The thoughtful classification ensures each segment of virtual asset ecosystem operates within well-defined regulatory boundaries, providing robust consumer protection and mitigating potential risk. Now, let's see what's going on in India.
Well, in talking about that innovation pavilion, the Reserve Bank of India is set to implement interoperability between its central bank digital currency, the CBDC, and the Unified Payments Interface, the UPI, by the end of this month. And this move will allow customers to use UPI QR codes for transactions using digital currency. The RBI aims to achieve 1 million CBDC transactions per day by the end of the year, significantly increasing the current transaction volume. Ajay Mishra gives us further details and also a live demonstration of this very important interoperability.
The Innovation Pavilion at G20 is one of the main attractions for G20 delegations out here. We know that India have rolled out this digital currency known as e-rupee. And the theme out here is Digital Rupee for Digital India. That's very important to understand. The cost of transaction for cross-border payments is currently at 6%. If it is being done by the CBDC, the cost is expected to come down heavily, and that's one priority under the G20 India's presidency. But now what India is trying to do is to link the CBDC with the UPI system, because you understand the UPI is the is one of the most prominent mode of payment, and now the banks have decided to link the e-rupee with the UPI system. We have with us the SBI General Manager Dinesh Kumar ji. Sir, now have you been able to actually interoperate the UPI with the digital currency?
Yeah, we have been able to do this, and in fact, this is a very big functionality which has been rolled out. It will actually help the entire process become more smooth for merchant as well as for the user also, because till now what was happening is that merchants would have UPI QR code would already be there, and then for accepting CBDC payment, so CBDC separate QR code was required. Now once this interoperability has been rolled out, so no need to have these two QR codes. By using the UPI QR code itself, payment can be made in CBDC.
Sir, can you please give us a demo how it is being? Yeah.
Before that, just I would like to add that as of now, both merchant and user both need to have a CBDC wallet. So it will be wallet to wallet transfer will happen. But we are working on bringing out the interoperability by increasing the scope of the interoperability. So therein what will happen is that once the UPI QR code is scanned, then the system will check if wallet is there. So if wallet is there, then wallet to wallet transfer will happen. In case wallet is not there for the merchant, then the user will make payment in CBDC from his wallet, but the payment will go to the bank account of the merchant. So that interoperability is also going to be rolled out. It will take a few days, but that will also come. So
that will be very exciting, sir. And we now want you to kindly, give us the demonstration and how it is working right now.
Yeah, we will do this. So like we are making payment by using the UPI QR code. This is a UPI QR code. This is the CBDC. We are not using this. The UPI QR code we are using. And you can see on the screen, this payment will be made. So just 6-digit wallet pin has been entered and CBDC payment has been done using the UPI QR code.
So just some of the innovations that India is pursuing here at G20 presidency, and there is a lots of model which the world can learn from, and this is one solution which is going to be rolled out by the end of this month, and it is expected that 1 million transactions will be done via CBDC, which has been rolled out by the RBI.
Now, the reason I showed you that clip is so people can understand how big the world is and a glimpse of what other countries are doing. Somebody might state, well, they weren't talking about XRP. Please understand the big picture. You have to see the big picture. The more people that start using this technology throughout the world, it doesn't matter what platform they're using, the more volume picks up, the more people that are going to be using these systems. It means that they will have to interoperate with these giant blockchain platforms like Ripple, Stellar, Zinfin, Algo, and others, Hedera, the list goes on. Because a day is coming where the whole world is going to interconnect with all these different platforms, these different ledgers. Since we're on the topic of CBDCs, there is no other company that has mastered the technology other than Ripple. This is a post from Mary Hall. The A-list Ripple CBDC team is back in Montenegro. This week, experts Brett Mullen and Anthony Welfare gave 2 educational workshops on asset tokenization and Web3 finance programmability for representatives of the financial service providers, government institutions, private IT sectors, and academic community. These workshops mark the completion of a series of educational events organized by the CBCG and Ripple, through which participants have had the opportunity to learn about blockchain technology and its possibilities. In addition to the workshops, the experts held several working meetings with representatives of various interested groups with a view to exchanging ideas and defining the list of potential candidates, use cases for testing stablecoin in Montenegro. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please do hit the like, share, and subscribe so you can stay up to date. Thank you.